What's up, everyone? Good morning. It's your host, Carlos Ponce. This is another live episode of Advancio Talks. And if you're just discovering us, well, welcome to the show. But if you've been here since the beginning, well, you know what we are about. Advancio Talks is where we sit down with the people actually building the future of business and technology, not just talking about it, but doing it. You know, CTOs, founders, the folks actually making decisions that matter. So whether you're drinking coffee, commuting, or just curious about what's actually happening in tech or the business in the world of technology and business, stick around because today we've got Matt Wessels. He is the founder of Soontra.ai or .com. Soontra with us today. So Matt, it's got stories and insights you won't hear anywhere else. I promise that. Let's jump right in. So, Matt, welcome to the show. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Yeah, I look forward to this conversation, Matt. So, but let's start from the very beginning. The most important thing, you. Tell us a little bit about you. Who is Matt Wessels? What's your story?
Yeah, no problem. So, former Navy veteran, and I got into real estate a little early on, right out of the military, and did that for 10 years, but realized that my true passion was in tech and online businesses. So 2016, I jumped into e-commerce in the D2C space, and I built and sold my first company, although it wasn't enough to retire off of. It taught me a lot of foundational key elements of what it takes to build a business. And, as a first-time founder, I kind of did it in hiding because I didn't truly believe in myself, even though I knew that content might be the way. Everybody in the business at that time was, publishing how to grow their business, founder-led stories, etc. But I myself was just unsure of my business skills, so I kind of did it in private. After selling that company, I went on to start a consulting marketing agency in the same space. And this is really where I really started to hone my skills because I already had the foundation of building and selling that first brand. And we did great. Took on a lot of clients. We did over 9 figures for some of our clients. So it grew really well. But that was kind of the pivoting point of realizing that, there was an issue here when I was dealing with all these clients and with our agency alone of trying to manage all of this content, this assets, the context of all of the different clients we had, et cetera. So that journey led into the building of Soontra.
Perfect. Awesome. Exactly. I was going to ask you about that. I mean, tell us about Soontra. What is Soontra? What problem are you solving? What's the story behind Soontra?
Yeah. So Soontra is it's an AI content workspace for people who take content seriously in their business. So if you treat content like a business function, then this is the platform for you as an individual creator, all the way up to brands and agencies. And the goal is to kind of streamline the entire operation. So when we ran our agency, we had, 7, 8, 9 different tools that we were trying to interconnect between analytics, data connections, Zapier to talk between them. Where was our pipeline being held? How did we manage the CRM? Everything. It was just all over the place. And, I'm talking to my partner and I was like, I don't think this is the best model. We were paying $2,500 a month in software fees to connect all of this information together. And we went on YouTube, started looking at different people's workflows, like how are other professional content teams handling this? And somehow this seemed to be the case that everybody had built. And I think early on, people didn't take content as seriously as it became now. Content creators are the new celebrities. I was just listening to an Andreessen Horowitz video where they're talking about VCs and new media being, taking over legacy media. And I think this transition's happened really well over the last 10 years. So Soontra kind of helps take all of these different workspaces and put it into one singular place so that you're not spending half of your day context switching, looking for a certain asset file or trying to figure out what platforms are working. People who are managing this entire pipeline with teams, they all need a singular place to find everything in one workflow. And so looking that there wasn't this out there, or the few that there were trying to build were heavily over-engineered. And for the people who are trying to operate this, it's too confusing. They built an engineering product, but you're creating a software and a tool with AI that's very heavy in tech, but you're building it for people who are creative brained, so it's building something that's complex, that does a lot of actions, that can handle a lot of workload while simplifying it for the user. So our goal is to really help all content people, content teams, content brands, and content creators to simplify the workflow leveraging AI. It's going to come down to like taste at the end of the day. With generative AI and people putting out AI slop, we were discussing part of the call, the human part of this. I don't think that we're here to try and take the human element of away. We're just trying to speed up the process and the operation.
Absolutely. You said AI slop, and a huge amount of LinkedIn memories that popped out into my mind right now. It's like, wow, yeah, it's too much of it. So we have to be careful.
Yeah.
It's a very powerful tool, but still, we need to take care of the human element. Creativity and the human side of the equation is something that shouldn't be overlooked. Okay, so let's move on to. So thank you for elaborating on Soontra. We'll have the opportunity to ask more questions about Soontra, and I'm sure also to learn more about it. I'd like to move on to today's topic. Today's we're going to be talking about the operating system era. So why creators and engineers need one system. So a unified system. So let me start by asking you, why did you feel that this particular topic was relevant for today's day and age?
Yeah, I think one, because AI is going to be advancing and we look at where the future of like jobs might go and how this is going to transition. Some people look at it as like, oh, they're going to take our jobs. Other people look at it as it's creating new ones, right? The workload will always shift. Us as humans create problems all the time. So as new things and new tools get given to us, we will create new problems with them, and then those problems need to be fixed. So yes, maybe certain types of jobs will go away, but future jobs will be replaced. And I think that, are we building for the human to operate? Are we building for human management and orchestration and the operating system? Or are we building for the agentic workflow? So our core thesis is that, people will be operators and managers. And for content creators specifically, their goal is to push out more content and more quality content. That's kind of the end deliverable for them, in hopes that they get sales, clients, etc. But how you manage that. So one of the biggest issues for us was this context switching, right? We had Airtable, we had Notion, we had Frame.io for review, we had Google Drive for all of our assets, etc. And that is not an operating system. That is a suite of different tools that don't work together, and they're all over the place. So I think where teams really need to come together in a singular operating system in places that, I don't know how many times I've talked to a client in the past where they said, hey, do you know where this specific asset is, or where the original PNG of the logo was, or anything? And nobody knows, or maybe one person does know and they're not reachable and they're not on Slack. And then the person who's looking for it's digging through Google Drive, etc. These are issues that don't need to happen. And so our goal with the singular operating system is that the AI and the operating system itself should all be one unified place for teams, engineers, content creators. Everybody can work together in a solidified workspace and use and leverage the AI to find things faster, to move things down the pipeline quicker. We use it internally for our bug finding. So we're building our entire business and operating from the same platform. So for the engineering team, we're rapidly finding bugs. We assign it to Astrano. We say, go ahead and put this bug into the pipeline. He'll put the bug into bug completed. And the AI streamlining of this operation is that it knows our workspace. It knows, who to assign things to. It knows what each person's role within the company is. It has context of where we are within the business, all of our workflows, et cetera. And so at the end of the day, time is probably the most valuable asset. It's the only, if you ask any billionaire, what's the one thing that they can't get is time, right?
Right.
So we're trying to give more time back to companies so that they can do more things that they, should be focusing on to grow the business. And if we can stop all of the switching between different Slacks and Notions and Google Drive and people wasting time looking for the same video clip over and over and over, all of that is time given back to move the business forward. So that's kind of, what I think this singular operating system is going to achieve. And although many people before us have gone out to build what was the legacy operating system, just like legacy media is being taken over by, the new media era, I think that I think that the AI operating system is going to wipe out, the old legacy systems. It's very hard to retrofit a AI into an already existing workspace, but we've built
Mhm.
ours natively from the ground up. So it was a big shift, obviously coming from the agency to this, but I think this is what people need. We needed it very much so in our business, and we couldn't find a tool out there like this. So I think a lot of they're going to start operating this way.
Right, right. And we're talking about unified systems. So I'm curious. Okay, I'm going to ask this question from the what I call the layman's perspective because I'm
Hmm.
not an engineer, right? So, and I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who might be curious about uh, what is it, what your how your what your product does and how it functions and all that, and what needs to happen before they decide on choosing your solution. So I'm curious from that perspective, what does a typical, let's say, a typical creator's tool stack, what does it look like before they find something like Soontra?
Yeah. So typically they're going to use a workspace management platform similar to Notion, ClickUp, Trello, somewhere where they can store all their ideas.
Yeah.
And then they're going to, try and start batching these ideas creative. They want to use an AI to start scripting out some ideas. So then they're going to use an AI tool like ChatGPT, Claude, etc., Gemini, and they'll go in and they'll start scripting this idea. Then they need to save all these scripts. So they'll open up Google
Mhm.
Drive and then they'll start storing all their scripts, storyboards, anything into a Drive asset to, publish that. Then they're going to use Hootsuite Buffer later to schedule it out so that they can schedule all their posts out for the month. Then they're going to use something like vidIQ, YouTube Analytics, TubeBuddy to track the performance of this. And then connecting the data that you might have Zapier, you might have like Airtable for building out tables of data. Um, so it's a lot, right? I just named maybe 6, 7 different tools to start, and some teams have even bigger systems. You have Slack for chat communications, notifications. So our software basically brings that all into one place, and with an added layer of AI. So we've built an AI named Astrano, and
Mhm.
Astrano is not just a chat bot, but it basically has a set of tools that it can operate within the workspace, just like any human could. So you have the ability to manually go in and create a project, assign it to somebody, put a due date, schedule it out into your calendar, or you can just drop the assets in and ask Astrano, hey, based off of this single video, let's say we're referencing this recording, I'm going to drop this video in later. I'm going to say, can you pull the full transcript from this video, find the best 15-second clips, notify me of them, cut that through there so it's a clippable piece. You can add that to a project, assign the script back to the project, and then also go pull my analytics from the past interview that I did and see how that did. Maybe I can edit some things, and you can just assign it this multi-step workflow, press go, and then Astrano will take all care of all of that for you. So
Wow.
yeah, and the other thing is when you have multi-platform analytics, right? It's you might go into, the current person who's managing this is going to YouTube and looking at their YouTube performance, and then they're going into Instagram's analytics dashboard and looking at that performance. Maybe they're going into TikTok and using those performance dashboards, right? But there isn't a single place that you can have all of this data interconnected and ask one layer of AI to say, hey, how across all of my platforms is my shorts performing? What was in the last 90 days my best performing video? And do we have any unused clips in our folder that I could try and recreate a video like?
Mhm.
So the Google Drive feature is probably the first thing that we built that was our big breakthrough, and that
Mhm.
everybody kept coming to us and saying, I can't search Google Drive. Like, if you don't know if you've ever dealt with content, you know that your camera spits out a file called DCIS_1473. What is that, right? That has nothing to
Mhm.
do with the mountain ranges I shot last night on the sunset golden hour. So I remember golden hour sunset, mountain range. Google knows DCIS_1477 or something. So our drive indexes and analyzes every single video you upload into it, and it has everything from transcript, from you can do semantic search, you can understand what's in the video, you can understand how the person's delivery was, the pacing of it. So you can search things within the Google Drive, find me all the sunset clips and add them into a folder, because the next video I want to create is a golden hour sequence. I don't have to sit there and think through all the different photographers and videographers that I've shot content with, the different brand assets that have been delivered for me. When somebody's managing a workspace, the biggest loss and gap is like context switching. You can only take on like so many clients or handle so much workload before your brain just literally cannot handle more information. So with Astrano, it basically lets you release that information. You drop everything into there, it analyzes it, and you can just ask it, where are my projects? What is due today? What client do I need to follow up on? Things like that. And it understands and has context of everything. So that's kind of like the two biggest features that we operate from is our indexable drive and then the Astrano operation layer. Outside of that, everything is just a tool that we built for Astrano to operate from.
Okay. And how do you tie that to trends? For example, how does the I'm just curious, how does the AI or does the AI decide what makes a good title or a script before a trend
Yeah,
peaks?
so we have a couple ways of doing that. One is that the AI has the ability to go scrape the web. So it can go and pull Google Trend alerts. It can pull anything that's, of available data off the web, and then it can make analysis that way. It also has access to all three of your own TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube analytic accounts. So it can look at like past performance to kind of predict what's going to perform well for your audience, because every platform and every audience is different, right? Like what I'm selling versus what you're selling versus what a D2C brand might sell. We're all going to need different things, and we're all going to have performance be a very specific metric to us for our needs, right? So Astrano can understand who your brand is, what your actual goal is. It goes through, it scrapes your own website, it pulls its own performance report of who you are, the tonality of your voice, how you post, and you can put all of that into a memory state where you can then just ask it and say like, hey, basically everything about how I'm operating. How have my past performance videos, like my top 3 videos and the content that we've been pushing through, make better decisions in the future. Take that with Google Trends and different things like that, and you can make kind of those judgments. Additionally, if you want to, connect in different resources, like we have an MCP connection, which is basically a way to connect other AIs into our platform to operate. So right now you can connect ChatGPT or Claude. And so if you prefer using tools externally, but you still want to manage and use the memory of Astrano and the operation layer of Astrano, you can still go out and chat with those things. And maybe you like its answers better and you just want it to script out or it to find data for you. But we really try and, make sure that that the trends that it is suggesting is not made up, because a lot of times AI can hallucinate and it will give you basically like untrue answers. So we try and have everything like fact tested off of historical performance to give you a better indication of where you will perform in the future.
Thanks for elaborating on that part. And I think it was, a lot of what you mentioned, I understand it because it's, even though I'm not an engineer, I have working knowledge of some of the terminology. But let's say that there is a creator, there's creators out there who are more focused on the content itself and the creation of the content, the creative process, and they're having a great time, they're enjoying it. But I assume that there might be some of them that might have some misconceptions about what AI can and can't do for them. Am I right? So what would you say would be the biggest misconception that creators have about this?
Yeah, I think from what I've learned is that when there's types of people. There's people who really enjoy the creative art of creating, and then there's people who just need a result done. Who if you're a brand, typically you just need a video made that talks about your brand. But if you're a creative, you care about the camera you use, the quality, the lens, everything, the creative performance of it. So what I think creatives are fearful of is that AI is just going to create a bunch of AI-based content and that their creation factor goes away, the creative. But in reality, like the human's end job, no matter what the tool is taste, right? AI does not have taste. And if it could, it would be replacing my job. I wouldn't be on this call right now. So what I think the creative's job now is to really understand good taste. You can use AI to create your content, or you can use AI to streamline your content operation.
Hmm.
When Photoshop and Final Cut and Adobe Premiere came out, people weren't like, oh no, this is the end of cutting tape. They were like, great, we don't have to cut film together anymore. Like
I
this is
remember that. Yeah.
a tool to help. You're not, piecing and streamlining film rolls together to try and create a film. I think people are looking at AI in the wrong way because they're thinking that this is going to take the creativity away. But I think you still have to use the tools to your benefit. They're going to help you. Nobody can replace taste, and I think everybody has a different form of taste. Creativity is like art. You can't go to an art gallery and say that's the best piece, because
Hmm.
that's your perspective, right? And so
Yeah.
AI is like a law of averages, and it's going to give you the best average advice based on the averages of what is considered good, but average is not what us as humans consider good. So I think the big hurdle is realizing that AI can just be a tool to help improve your processes. It does not have to replace creativity.
Absolutely.
And what we're trying to do is basically make a creative partner for you. So think of Astrano for, I talk to a lot of my creative friends, and they're not analytically, that side of their brain. They're very creative. They have 1,000 ideas. They know the next 100 videos. But people will look at AI and be like, oh, this script is terrible. It's like, well, you still have to have taste. You can't just say, write me a script on this, and then it's going to put out a 10 out of 10, viral video. You
Hmm.
have to decide, is this the copy I want to articulate? Let me edit this a little bit. Those types of things. So I think the
Hmm.
layer of a creative is going to come from the creativity in their brain, and then how they use AI to execute that is up to them. Some people are using Higgsfield and just using full generative AI, and some people are using AI like I'm going to use it to take this document later, pull the transcript out, find little clippable moments, and then go assign it to my team and editor and say, hey, let's reformat these for 9:16 so I can post it on TikTok, YouTube, Shorts, and Instagram. I'm still going to leverage AI to do all of that, but it's not going to recreate me and you. So I think that's kind of the
Yeah.
difference. And where we're trying to help is in speeding up the production, providing tools, and streamlining the entire operation, and less
Uh-huh.
about saying like, this is going to kill creativity as a whole.
Right. Right. Would you say that that's I mean, what I'm hearing is that there might be people out there who think that AI is reshaping what it even means to be a creator right now, right?
Mhm. Yeah, there
Absolutely.
was just two big conferences that just happened, and seeing all the feedback from all of these conferences, like the future of the creator economy, it's exploding right now from every side. So when people think of creators, a lot of times I think, and maybe this is my misconception of how the world thinks of creators, but you think of like Mr. Beast or people who vlog, etc. But there are a lot of businesses who still take creation as a business function in the business. The entire D2C world, agencies, which I came from, both of those backgrounds, um, they rely on creators to fuel and fund their advertising. Every ad set is typically run by a UGC piece of content. There were huge Fortune 500 companies sitting at this conference in Cannes Lions event, and they're all talking about how they're investing. Unilever, one of the largest product brands, fired or hired 300,000 creators this year. So they're investing huge money into this pool of creators, but there's not enough creators to actually create for the amount of brands and desire that there is. So
Hmm.
I think that this is just going to be a really big boom in the next 5 years. I think the creator economy is going to explode. I think more people are going to take it seriously. They're going to start treating their content operation less like, I need to get a video out today, and like, how do I manage brand deals? From a brand side, how do I manage all of my different creators? How do I
Hmm.
make sure posts are going out at the right time? Do we have the approvals signed? It becomes a mess. And I think this
Right.
singular operating system puts it
Hmm.
all into one place.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We're discussing a topic that is both, it has, the way I see it is, it has two or even three components. One, of course, is the human element. One is creativity, which is oftentimes subjective based on the
Mhm.
creator itself. And then there's another aspect that I'd like to let's stop and look under the hood a little bit more, which is the engineering of it. So, what has been the hardest engineering problem in building a unified platform like this?
Yeah, I think a couple of things. So one is, you can't we're managing analytics, we're managing a searchable drive, and we're managing a content workspace, and we're trying to streamline the AI to understand all of that and still deliver good results between tools, between the context that it wears, and then how fast AI in itself and the frontier models are improving, and us trying to keep up with that pace. Because when we started this project, AI wasn't where it is now, right? So every 6 months or so, these models are getting incredibly faster and better at results, and we're trying to build alongside with it. So I think, myself, I'm actually not a technical engineer either. I come from the marketing agency side. My
Mhm.
business partner is a little bit more on the engineering side. And, it was something we definitely had to think through, because I have 1,000 ideas of how this should work from the content management front end side, but developing this and developing it in a way that is useful to the creator, it's balancing engineering and balancing the front end to make sure that we deliver a product that people actually use. Because, like I mentioned, there are some competitors who took this project on, but they over-engineered it, or they forgot to add the layer of AI, or they're trying to retrofit it back into their business. We just made sure that we started from the ground up with this as the core center of our business, and I think that helped. But it's definitely a challenge.
Absolutely. Matt, and unfortunately, as they say, time flies when you're having fun, right? So this is no exception to the rule, but we still have time for one more question. And I would like to close my questions with this one. What is the one thing that you wish more creators understood about running their channel like a business?
Yeah, I think from the creator perspective, you basically have to run it like a business now. If you're taking this seriously and you want to work with brands and you want to get brand deals, or you want to just grow your channel, it's not a guessing game. So I think the biggest thing is that people look at their analytics and they stare at the numbers and they're like, great, that video did well. On to the next one, without any like interpretation of why did it do well? Was it the pacing? Was it my retention rate? Is there anything I can look at from operationally that I've been doing, in terms of like my pacing of putting out the videos, as well as just, kind of streamlining the entire process. Like if you knew that you could hire somebody to help you grow your channel, there's tons of agencies, coaches, all kinds of services that help content teams grow. Or you could hire a Strano for $50 and he will essentially do all of that. And he only is dedicated to your brand. The best ROI is there. So as a creator, I think, you should be looking, the creator economy is going to be exploding in the next 5 years. You can look up any report after this call. This is the time to really lock in and take this seriously. And if you want to be taken seriously from the brand deal side, from working with your businesses and making sure that you're pushing content out consistently, you need an operating layer to help you do that. It's not something you can pull off from your phone and just, on the fly post a video and look back and be like, why did that work? Or what, who do I need to follow up with?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, Matt, we've reached the final minutes of today's conversation. So I'm going to give them to you. Like, how would you like to be remembered in this show by the audience? What are your final words of wisdom or your parting words?
Yeah, I mean, I hope for anybody listening that if you are on this call or you watch this in the future, and you're considering doing content for your business, one, you just jump in. I think it'll be the single greatest decision you make in your business. Content is one of those things that you can't calculate the ROI. It's free to create 9 times out of 10. Everybody has a phone. You don't need big lighting and big cameras and all of that. It just takes a really good message and storytelling, and then just making sure that you do it consistently. I think the other big issue is that people start and they burn out because they don't have a system. And that's what Soontra is here to do, is kind of help you operate and push it as a system so that you're consistent with your production, consistent with your posting, and then you can eventually grow your business.
Absolutely. Well, Matt, it's been a great pleasure to have you in the show. Unfortunately, we have we're up on time now, but if you're watching this, whoever's watching this or will be in the future, because we are recording it, you can reach out to Matt. It's right there down below. Just make a note of it. It's Matt at Soontra.com. And Matt, I believe you are on LinkedIn as well, right?
Yes, correct. You can find me on
And
LinkedIn.
I think you have your LinkedIn right here. Let me see. Yes, I do. And there you have it, folks. I mean, it's easy to remember. Matt Wessels. Just go to LinkedIn, look for Matt, and you can reach out to him there. And also on your website, right, Matt?
Yeah, you can check out Soontra.com or Soontra.ai, and you can sign up for a free trial and get started today. So give it a test, throw some content in there, give it a search, try out Astrano and see how that performs for you.
Absolutely. So there you have it, folks, right there. We are displaying the website to Soontra. It's Soontra.com or Soontra.ai. Either way, you can reach out to Matt there, and he'll get back to you right away with his. You mentioned 30-day trial. Is that correct, Matt?
Yeah, if you're watching this video, I will follow up to either provide a code or a link on how you can access. But if anybody comes from this video, I'd like to offer everybody an extended trial. So we have a 7-day free trial on the site, but I will give a code for a 30-day free trial.
So, folks, make sure you reach out to Matt right here on Soontra.com, and also his email at matt@soontra.com. With that being said, Matt, it's been a great pleasure to have you here on the show. And stay with me, Matt, as we go off the air. And the rest of you, remember that every Wednesday at 11 o'clock, usually at 11 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. Today we started a little bit later than usual because of a time change blooper on my end. So that's what happens when you move from Mountain Standard Time region to a stubborn region like Arizona, where they don't follow daylight savings. I don't know what hence the confusion, folks. It's going to be Wednesdays at 11 o'clock Mountain Standard Time or 10 Pacific. You can find us right here on advancio.com/tech talks. That being said, thank you, Matt, and thank you, everyone, and see you next time.
Take care.